I am really happy to have back on my channel the lovely Lynn Matthews and Danielle Matthews. And the hints in the name, yes, they are a mother and daughter partnership. And I really wanted both you ladies on together because the subject matter that I wanted to talk about today about really changing lives and how saying yes to opportunities that we get presented with can change our lives in ways that we never anticipated in. And because all three of us have got things in common, but different ways that we've come into what we're currently working with, and we're talking about the Asea products, but this isn't just a video about Asea products, it's a video about the wealth of opportunities that open up in so many wonderful connections when you say yes to what comes in front of you. So that's why I thought a lovely three-way round table to finish off the week and just really share our experiences with people. So let's start off with Lynn. How has your week been and how is everything going with you at the moment?
It has been a busy week. It's been a good week. All weeks are good. There's always good that you can find in your week, no matter how hectic it is. Or as I think, I've got a very aging dog.
Yeah.
And so she is, right on the cusp, but every day with her is a great day. She decided to go off on a walk yesterday. So we went on a walk yesterday. We've had lots of really cold weather here, but it's been a great week. I've gotten to meet some very new people this week, which will feed into what we're talking about later. But yeah, it's been a wonderful week. I'm
And
so
spending time with your loved ones at that stage is so important to sort of have a lifestyle where you can have that flexibility. Because I know what that's like. I unfortunately lost one of my guinea pigs this week. She was old and things, but these sort of things happen to us all, and it's so wonderful that you can spend that time with her.
It is. It's important. She's been a part of my life for 16 and a half years. So to be
Yeah.
able to have that flexibility, like you said, really is so critical. So
Yeah,
critical.
absolutely. And Danielle, how have you been? I know you've had a very busy week, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's always fun. I meet new people every day, and it's been interesting. There's been a lot of people reaching out through email and direct message on social media saying, hey, I saw this and I saw that and I really resonated. And I just love hearing that because you never know. It's so funny. Like this way, it's the three of us chatting and we don't know how it's hitting somebody's heart at home that's listening to it. And so it's always really, really nice when someone reaches out and says, I love this comment. I loved that. Or you made me think like this. And it's been really a special week for that. And I'll say my technology has also kind of been crazy. My neighbor's cat sat on my computer and I had a huge issue yesterday. It's a whole day where I couldn't really work. And it was like, all right, the universe is saying to take a break here. So that's life.
Oh, I've had that before with my cats and things. It's hysterical. They know how to tell us to take a break. And
Yeah.
I love that. I think you've hit on a really important point about it's so important to get this feedback because we are sitting here having a chat, and I love it whenever I do videos with people because I only ever speak to people that I really want to speak to. But equally, it means so much when people give that feedback about what resonates, what doesn't, because that's what we're here for, to sort of help. I must just comment, look how beautifully color coordinated we are. Danielle's in blue, I'm in black, and Lynn, you're perfect at telling us together. No such thing as an accident. So, well, what I wanted to start, and I'm going to start with you if I can, Lynn, is we connected. One of the most beautiful things for me over the last year has been the connections that I've made, and those really heartfelt connections with people where you really get each other and you've really got sharing a common goal to really make the world a better place. And when we connected last time, when you kind of came on my channel, we had a really good chat. I love the fact of hearing your story about what an entrepreneur you've been all your life, but how there were some challenges in that about being able to get your message across enough. Can you just explain to the listeners a little bit about your background and the sort of good and bad bits of what you found with that entrepreneurship?
Sure. It's funny, when I came out of college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a language major. Computers were just starting. And so at the end, in my fourth year, I took a couple computer classes because it was just another language programming, and was fortunate that at the time they were looking for language majors and math majors. So I went into computers initially, into the corporate world. And, while the money was good, it just wasn't fulfilling. It was an interesting thing. It just really was not where I felt intuitively I should be. And so when I had my daughters, I was fortunate enough to stop work and stay home with them. And I started to do some consulting so that I could still, contribute to the income for the household. And that was kind of my first dabble into being an entrepreneur. And it was computer consulting. And then fast forward, I had had a major surgery when I was in my early 20s, and it caused some issues with my physical health. So I discovered yoga. And yoga, it was actually a osteopath that told me I should try that. And it really helped my body. But more than that, I started to really learn this whole idea of yoga philosophy and looking at life in a very, very different way. And it spoke to me at a very deep level. So I started to train in yoga, started learning yoga philosophy. I actually opened a yoga studio that was very successful. I loved what I was doing, started doing teacher trainings. And what I realized over the years was that this message had to get out to people, because people are hurting. People are looking for ways to and find joy in their lives. And so often we look outside ourselves to fill that void that we tend to feel. You can't really put a name to it, but people just feel there's something missing. And what I was seeing was people were looking everywhere but inside. And my husband kept saying, look, you can only impact the people that are right in your world. You don't scale. And we'd bring in more teachers and we'd do this and that, but he was right. You can't scale. And over the course of having that studio, I taught a lot of therapeutics. So I got to meet a lot of amazing practitioners, because we would share, clients and students. So I was learning a lot more about the whole holistic world of healing, which was new to me. And then, of course, Danielle was hit by the drunk driver, and I was trying to find, something that could help her. So I tapped into that world again. And that's when we found Asea. And what's funny is that at the time, I was certainly not looking for yet another business. I had my yoga business. At this point, I had sold my studio and had partnered with a college and was teaching my teacher trainings there. I was going back to school, and I thought I just want this to help Danielle. There's no way I'm doing another business. I had no experience at all in direct sales or network marketing. And yet people were coming to me, they come to yoga anyway with different issues and things like that. And I would just say, this helped my daughter, it helped my parents. I don't know if this can help. So kind of organically, I just started to tell people about it, again, with no thought to the business. In fact, I hadn't even looked how to do the business. I was just sharing it. I ended up winning a trip for the founder's 75th birthday to Mexico, which was very fun. And that's where I actually started to meet the people involved with it, and started to get this sense from them that all of a sudden I had a way that I could meet and connect and make an impact in people's lives way beyond myself. This whole idea of scaling suddenly became a potential reality. And it's been remarkable. It's an industry that I had no idea what it was like, how it worked, things like that. But it has allowed me to meet people like yourself in the UK. I don't know that our paths would have ever crossed.
Absolutely.
And I think the last couple years, human beings are social creatures. We need that connection. We're all one anyway. And so that's why we need that connection, to remind us of that connectedness. And I think that's really been hard on humanity, this disconnect that's happened over the last few years. And that's one of the things I love about this company, is the community that you are then a part of. And it just goes beyond friendships. It's this commonality of this purpose of creating this wave in the world. And I think that is really important.
It's so important. And isn't it ironic in a way? I'll spring into Alanis Morissette song now, but you know, the whole product is about connection at a cellular level between cell to cell, but the whole business is as well. And this is why it made me laugh when we've been talking off screen, because none of us ever thought, oh, I want to start a new business. And what we have done is just found that we've been telling people about it, and that snowballed. So Danielle, I mean, you've been on my channel quite a few times, and as your mum mentioned, you had this catastrophic rug pulled out from, you know, under you 10 years ago. Talk us through what's changed since then.
It's interesting because my background, like you, is biology. And I've always been a super curious person. I've loved learning how the world works. And I had like collections of collections as a kid. I've been fascinated by nature. Mom will tell you, I had rocks, I had leaves, I had like everything. How the world works was just so intriguing to me. And I always thought I'd be on a path, maybe working with the environment, doing something like that. And when my accident happened, life clearly was putting me in a different direction. And I fought it. You know, my intuition was telling me to listen, but my mind was telling me to ignore it. So when Asea helped me so much to get better, I was saying to my mom, I don't want to go back to a 9-to-5. Like I want the flexibility, actually exactly how she's able to be with Zuri full time. I mean, that's why the dog's still here, because mom's able to give this level of support because she has the flexibility to work her hours around her life. And when my accident had happened, she was able to be there for me. Mom was driving me to appointments almost every day. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I thought, if I'm working 9-to-5, how am I ever going to be able to have a life around that? And I didn't feel secure, because when I couldn't work after my accident, I couldn't earn money. And that was probably one of the hardest realities for me, was, what do I do if I don't have the physical capacity to earn? Because I always have worked hard, you know, I'll make whatever work. And but I couldn't, because I physically couldn't. And that was terrifying. So when I started to get healthy again, it was like, well, I don't want that situation to occur. And I was talking to mom, like, I don't know what to do. And at this point, she'd won the trip. She had gone to Mexico, and she'd taken my other sister with her. I don't know where I was. I didn't go. And so I didn't catch the vision, you know, and mom's talking, she was so excited. And I'm like, Mom, like, network marketing is like sleazy. Like, I'm not doing sales. Like, I'm a biologist, you know, and I'm like, just like, no, but she could see it, you know, she could see what I couldn't see. And she's like, Danielle, you're going to meet people around the world that are just like you. You're going to make friends globally. Like, you're going to be flexible in when you work, and you're going to have an impact. Because I also kept saying to her, I've got to have purpose in what I'm doing, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. I can't unknow that. You know, I did nothing wrong, and that accident happened. That could have ended my life. I mean, we never know. And she kept saying, it's Asea. And I'm like, no, it's not. God bless my mother, because I'm stubborn. And she said, well, they were moving to Arizona, and I was helping them move. And she said, well, there just so happens to be a conference, and I want you to come. And it's on the way. I was like, all right, Mom, I'll come to one of these things, and never ask me again. Because I was expecting this like rah, you know, I don't know what I saw. I don't know. Apparently, like, society has planted some image of network marketing in like all of our heads, because I think everybody has the same initial like, ugh, like cringy. I don't want to be involved in that. I got there, and there were the sweetest people, like all these people hugging my mom, saying hi. I was like immediately part of this family. It felt like I had a ton of like aunts and uncles, and it was like, whoa, these are my people. Like, I felt such a nice resonance. And then the founder of the company started talking, and I'll tell you what, Catherine, I had goosebumps, like head to toe, so many times. And we had to sit in the back, because I was still sensitive to noise. Like, I had noise canceling headphones on. I mean, some people that knew me at the beginning of Asea, they still saw, you know, the remnants of my car accident. And but I like didn't want to leave the room. I was just so glued to what this man was saying, and I felt such a resonance inside of me. Like, my intuition was saying, this is you, like, this is what you're supposed to do. He's speaking the language of truth, which is to see people as people and not objects, to work through life and serve the people in front of you, to have an attitude of gratitude as you move through the world. And I was like, this was not what I was expecting. This is the opposite actually of what I was expecting. Like he's speaking spirituality. He's speaking the truths of life. He's talking about concepts like Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. And it was absolutely mind-boggling to me. And I looked at Mom and I said, thank you, and I need to do this. And that started me into then going, well, what in the world? That means I got to talk to people. And I was moving to Florida. I didn't know a soul. I mean, looking back now, I think I lost my mind, because who the heck says they're going to start a business when they are completely introverted and they're only going to build it if they meet people, and they've got to do this with like word of mouth, and I didn't know a soul. It was like, looking back, I don't know what I was thinking, but my intuition was like so on point, and there was a burning inside of me that was like, just do it and get into action. And it's been so fun doing it with Mom because it has just been a blast. We've gotten to travel together. We see each other multiple times throughout the week doing calls, whatever it is. And I don't know if everybody knows the story about these dragonflies that are always.
No, tell us. I want to know the story about the dragonflies.
Yeah, that I got to give it to Mom. So I'll let Mom share that, because she came up with the name for our team, Team Dragonfly, and there's depth to that meaning. And I'll let her share.
So, I was in a training and somebody had talked about, the gentleman who was doing the training had talked about giving his team a name years before, and how it really kind of brought people together. And I was thinking, oh, that's a very cool concept. I've always been fascinated by dragonflies. I love ancient cultures, Native American cultures that were just so in tune with nature and spirituality. And it's always been, ever since I was little, there was just some connection there. And so the meaning, the symbolism behind the dragonfly is really remarkable. And as I was looking into it, I thought, we'll be Team Dragonfly, because dragonflies, they represent so many different things. One of them is, just leading your fullest life possible, right? There's also their luminescence and their ability to, they're apparently the only creature on the planet that can move in all 6 directions. The only one, right? So their ability to adapt to things which you have to do with life and you have to do with Asea. So I just saw this perfect blend, or the way that they really represent not only life and how we want to live life, but also what we think about, or at least I believe we should be thinking about in our Asea business. Because as Danielle talked about, the ethos of this company is not let's go out and sell Asea. It's how can we become better people as we help make the world a better place and serve others. And so this idea with the dragonfly about, being the best you can be, and this idea of being able to shift and adapt and adapt to the person in front of you. I really thought this is our team name. And then I happened to, as Danielle mentioned, I live in Arizona, and there's this little town called Jerome that I've been going to for 20 something years. It used to be a copper mining town. Now it's a little artist haven. And there was one shop in there that had these beautiful iridescent, you'll see them behind Danielle, metal dragonflies. And I had been coveting these dragonflies for years before I even had Asea. And so I thought, oh my gosh, those would be perfect. I would love to be able to give those to, like team members when they achieve a certain something in Asea. And so I had bought a couple for myself, and I saw the artist's name on the back, and I tracked him down and I've been working with him now so that people can get just that little symbol of what it's like to not only be part of Team Dragonfly, but when you get that, that you've touched a lot of lives and you're embodying the symbolism of that dragonfly.
I love that so much. And my dragonfly flew all the way over to the UK from America. How amazing is that? I know, quite incredible. I absolutely loved it. It was very special to receive that. Yeah, I mean, I've absolutely loved it because like you, Danielle, I'm a biologist, and I've been involved in holistic health for years, and I had my own herb shop that I sold in 2020, and I was multitasking running that and my consultancy business working with humans and animals in all areas of holistic health. And I absolutely loved it. Was training people, very similar to you really, Lynn, actually. And I really loved absolutely every bit of it. However, I was getting very burnt out. And what at the time, 2 children as well, both very sporty, running them around, all my animals to look after. And I was just juggling far too many balls in the air, and it was just pretty exhausting. So even though I loved it all, I always felt whenever I was doing that, I should have been there, and vice versa. And, the difference in between, since I've had my new career of doing the podcast, the YouTube, and telling people about the products is, my daughter had a really serious, she's a soccer player. She had a really serious injury 3.5 years ago, went just at the end of my old life. And it was so stressful because I was running these 2 businesses and she couldn't drive, and I was trying to get her to the hospital appointments and the physio and the operation. And then at the same time, I had one of my dogs was very old and very unwell. And it was just a terrible, terrible time of trying to balance so many different things. Move forward, she's now had another soccer injury, goes with the territory. And this time it's been a completely different experience because I've had the flexibility. So it's not been stressful at all for me. It's been wonderful to be able to provide that support. And, if I, had my time again, I was just like, wow, if I'd have been a young mum and I'd have known these opportunities existed. Now, I don't regret anything in my life. I've learned loads of them, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. And now I can see the beauty of that level of flexibility. Do we all work very hard? Absolutely, yes. Does it feel like work to me? No, because it's what all 3 of us do in our normal personalities, is trying to help people. So we'd be having those conversations, whether it was part of our work or not, wouldn't we?
Yeah, definitely would be.
So some of the things in terms of, you hit on some really interesting points, Danielle, that I think all of us, apart from, I don't know whether you felt this, Lynn, or not, but network marketing has got such a weird reputation. So I've been very pleasantly surprised since I've been talking about Asea, about how many people have approached me saying, look, I just want to be able to get my products for free. I'm worried about my health of my loved ones. You've helped me set up so I can send free products now to a friend that was in desperate need. It's so wonderful to be able to do that. So isn't it weird? Where does this come from? I mean, I do tend to agree with Jay and April. I really do. I think it's an agenda to stop people having this freedom in their lives and make people dependent on things. What do you think, Danielle?
Yeah, it's become more and more apparent. I actually had somebody message me and she said, I just discovered that network marketing is where all the powerful health products that actually change your life exist. And she goes, it's been buried. I thought network marketing was a terrible thing. It's like I'm in a whole new world now. And I just started laughing. And I said, welcome to the party. Because I have to now think it is someone putting something out there. The reasons behind it, I don't know. And I don't want to speculate. I don't like giving energy to it. But this is a space where you get empowered. Yeah. And Mom and I have created a very intentional space, as has Asea, as have many other network marketing companies, where they empower people's potential. Like Asea literally says, we power potential. That is their promise to you. And so you become a different person and you shift and you change. And I think some people don't like that. It's like when someone in their peer group starts to move away, they try and pull them down. And network marketing, a lot of times, is the reason people shift, because they get around a community of people that think differently, that look at the world differently, that want to have a bigger impact. And it's not a normal conversation. I had a woman, she interviewed me, she's over in Singapore and she does coaching. And I was on her podcast and she said, Danielle, I love network marketers. And I just started laughing. I said, why? She goes, you all are so positive. Your desire to impact humanity is so pure and so real. And she said, I had no idea. I always judged that industry. And now, because of my podcast, I'm meeting all sorts of different people. And there's a thread with you network marketers. I just started laughing and I said, well, good, because it's a beautiful industry. But I think that if you can make your own money and you can create a lifestyle with freedom, it's hard to control you.
I agree. I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So, I just, when people are ready, also, I think this binds them. And we can be stubborn and our ego gets in the way. And all I would say, guys, is put the ego aside for a minute, because you don't know what you don't know. And moms are always right. Mom was 100% right on this one.
I'll make my children listen. And it's interesting because I've been using the Purium products for well over probably about 15 years now. And I went to Los Angeles and went to their convention. And how I got into those is because they are the best health coaches in the world that use those products. And David Sandford and things, but I've never did it as a business, but as a health coach for humans and animals, I recommended them to everyone. I just didn't manage the business at all because the products are so good. And I think what sets a lot of these companies apart, why they do it, is because there is no thing, natural health is not anything like based on the pharmaceutical industry. It's not pop a pill and don't take any responsibility for it. So it takes participation, it takes willingness. It's like, to me, I was thinking about this earlier this week. It's a bit like, if you have some sort of addiction in your life, whatever that might be, however much your loved ones love you, they can't take that journey for you. And that's a bit to me like health, because I've been thinking so much about, wow, why have we got this massive obesity problem across all our countries at the moment? And it's because there has been, without doubt, I agree with you, we won't put too much energy to it, but an agenda to disempower people and take away sensible choices. And the way people find out about a lot of this thing is the good old way that us humans have been designed to communicate all the time, which is by word of mouth. And also, when you're exchanging that energy with someone, you can really see if it's genuine. Whilst if you walk into a shop or a doctor's office and you're given something in a packet, it's a completely different energy exchange.
Yes.
And I think they've made it so that it's easy. And people have gotten very complacent and they put their beliefs in the wrong place. And if you look at even on television, the only ads you're seeing, right? They're, again, it's what you see all the time. And then what you're believing. And I agree. And what's upsetting to me is that you're seeing these states of illness happening in younger and younger and younger and younger children. Diseases that used to be just for adults are now in kids. And one of the things I do think that was good that came out of the last couple of years is I think people are getting more empowered and are starting to look at the fact that they need to take responsibility for their own health and that they have the power to do that and to think for themselves and really find the things that aren't going to hurt them that could potentially help them. So I think there's been a real resurgence. It's always been there, but I think there's I just feel a greater energy being put toward empowering the body to heal and people believing that they can heal their bodies.
Oh, I love that so much. And I think that there's been so much good that's come out of the last 3 years. I mean, there's been a lot of negatives as well. It's been a hard ride for a lot of people, but I think people are really appreciating the simple things in life, having control over your own food supply, having control over your own water supply, looking at how you can take back control of your health, because a lot of us have realized we don't like other people taking decisions for that, because some of those people that we thought had done more research than we realize now it's down on us. I just want to give you both one example. I wish I'd had time to contact these people before I put this video out. But if they afterwards, I will, and if they give me permission, I'll share their link below. So a couple that found me and are now using the Asea. I have to be very careful how I raise this because of the censorship. So in America, you've had some events recently over the last week or two regarding some form of transport that has gone amiss and released stuff that no one wants released into the atmosphere in their locations. Now, these people, they're in our Asea team. I literally was just so touched by their email. They are truck drivers and they have taken it upon themselves to empower themselves to take control of their health. They're such a wonderful couple. It's amazing. And so when this event happened in their locality, they actually had the products available and with them in their trucks so that they could help protect themselves and give their bodies what it needed to regenerate healthily. And not only that, they were able to help then other people that were very, very concerned. And I know this is a bit of a roundabout way of saying it, but I think you all get what I'm talking about. But had these people not taken responsibility for their own health, which they have massively over the last year, not only would they not be in a position to help themselves when these events like your car accident that none of us can predict, and you know, life can throw curveballs at anyone, but also they've now got a lot of resources that they can use to help other loved ones that are in a you know, very upset about what can they do about it to protect themselves. And I was so proud of them. You know how we, Lynn, think of, and you're a cat and dog mummy, Danielle, you know, when you're so proud of your children, that's what I feel about these people that have really taken these steps to take back power over their health. It's so beautiful to see, because once you start doing that, everything about the way you view your life changes.
Well, it's amazing too, because as you go through something, like, it shifts you. So my accident, it was like, to me, that was the test. It was like, that was the moment that I was tested on, well, what are your beliefs and who are you really at your core and what are you capable of? And we were all challenged collectively over the last many years and still are. And it's like, how beautiful, like, we're ready for it. Like, when you take the test, you realize all the power within you and that you can take back control and you can make decisions that are best for you. And that's what this couple did. And then you're in a position, because you're steady and stable, because you've mastered your inner world and yourself and your physical body. Now you're in a position to help a lot of other people, and you can lead them to the same place, you know, that you're at now. It's exciting. Like, I think about where we go from here, the next 10 years. I'm pumped for what's going to happen, because people are being rocked. Like, people are having to ask the big questions. Like, it's not smooth sailing right now. And that's okay, because we live in a universe where there's polarity, there's duality. You have darkness and you have light. And so right now we're over here because we're leveling up, and we have to learn some lessons. We have to grow. We have to take our power back. We got to get control of our physical health again, and our minds, so that when we swing back into this next phase, we're different and we can bring a different energy into that space. But you have to go through it. Like, you absolutely have to go through it.
Absolutely. You know, that reminds me, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Catherine, you were talking about opportunity when we were first starting this conversation. Sometimes when we're looking for opportunity, we have in our minds what it should look like, right? And so we miss, the universe is always sending messages. It's always putting something in front of you. But if you've only got, you know, your aperture open this much, you can miss so many different opportunities. And to Danielle's point, things are shifting.
Yeah.
A lot of things happening that many people might say were bad, or that they're feeling like they're victims and things like that. You've got to shift your perspective and look at it. Well, where's the opportunity in this? And why am I being exposed to this? And what can I learn, and how can I grow and bring more of the light? Because each of us is responsible for bringing the light and starting to shine that light in the darkness. Then collectively, we move to that place that Danielle was just discussing.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Oh, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today. I mean, you know, Danielle and I had a talk early on in the week that I'll be putting up next week when I've finished processing it, about post-traumatic growth, and this fits beautifully into it. So you'll look out for that one, folks. You're going to really enjoy that, because it's exactly that. It's about how we take those opportunities. You know, so much of us are realizing it's so beautiful to get back to the good old basics of how we get into the present moment, appreciate what's really important. You know, my daughter found a quote on Instagram from someone she was following, and I thought it summed it up perfectly for me, is 100% of the day and night we are in these physical vessels. And yet, you know, we might be out of the house for long periods of time. We might not be in our car, but how much of our resources, emotional, physical, money resources, do we put on our car, our house, our possessions? And how much do we put on this beautiful physical vessel that we've been gifted? So, and I think people are really realizing that with everything that's been thrown at everyone over the last few years. I think the appreciation for, you know, personally, my whole family, my children have growing up, all our money goes on good food and good stuff for the animals and the humans, but that's how we choose to live our life. And I'm very grateful we've got that choice. But I think people are now realizing that we need to look after ourselves because we can't rely on others to do it for us.
Yeah.
If I can say one last thing, Catherine, Dr. Hoffman is a naturopath who is very much involved with Asea. And one of the analogies she says is, to your point about how much we put into our cars. She said, if you were told that, you know, the car you own now is the only car you're going to have for the rest of your life, how well would you take care of it? You know, and then you think about that. This is the one vessel that we're here to go through the entire life's journey in. And how many of us take care of it like we would our car?
Oh, I love that. And I love Dr.
Yeah. So you've got to put top quality fuel in there. You've got to keep it running at its optimal because you want it to last another 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, depending on your age.
Oh, I love it. And
we run smoothly.
Yeah. Yes. And we all realize with our cars that it's the internal engine, it's the bits that we're not looking at first of all that the most important to how safe it's going to keep us, and you know how long it's going to keep going. Thank you so much, ladies. It's for me, it's Friday evening. It's a perfect way to finish my week with such lovely friends. And I really, really am so grateful to have met you and become your friends. And please do leave us any of your thoughts below. Let us know what do you think about this. And as always, you know how to get involved. All the links are below. Any final words from you, Danielle?
I was just thinking of a quote from Jim Rohn. He says, take care of your body because it's the only place you have to live. And it's like, that's it. You know, I learned that. I lost my health once, never again. And being around the right people that value those things too, it's allowed me to continue to make good choices about my health and my spiritual wellness as well. That's really that's the one piece of being part of Asea that was totally unexpected for me, is that it's helped me just mentally, emotionally have just such expansion in who I am. So I love it. I can't wait to see what happens this year with all of us and with Team Dragonfly.
Yeah, come join us, folks. Anyone wants to be in Team Dragonfly, you know where we are. Thank you both so much. And Lynn, big kiss to your doggy from both of us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you.